Welcome in, everyone. Thanks so much for stopping by, as this is Sal from Behind the Arc Basketball on YouTube. Today, I'd like to talk about something different here on the channel. I'm going to talk about the Rutgers college basketball program here today in this season. I cannot believe that I'm talking about Rutgers on a broadcast. Yes, Rutgers, and how they have been shockingly good so far this season during the 2019-2020 men's college basketball season. Now, when the name Rutgers comes up to mind for their football and basketball program, the first thing you probably think about them is a team that finishes at the bottom of the Big Ten Conference every single season, and most likely they'll finish with a losing record. This season, however, for men's college basketball, they have surpassed expectations already big time. And I'm telling you guys, watch out for Rutgers. If you're hearing about Rutgers right now for college basketball, watch out for them this season. They have been impressive so far this year. I honestly had no clue that Rutgers would be this good so far this season. Now, if the Scarlet Knights can keep this up, this incredible season that they're having right now, playing to their ceiling of what they are accomplishing so far this year, well, Rutgers is not only going to be playing at the beginning of March, but they are going to be lasting and playing here during either one of these dates, March 19th or March 20th. That is when the first round of the NCAA Tournament takes place. Now, in college basketball this season, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, they currently sit with a record of 12 wins and 3 losses. They are also undefeated at home. They have a record of 11-0 at their home courts. Also, they have 2 wins against AP Top 25 teams. They have a record of 2-1 against teams from the AP Top 25. Rutgers is also tied for second right now, alongside with Maryland in the Big Ten Conference with a conference record of 3-1. They're right behind Michigan State, who's undefeated at 4-0 in the Big Ten. And also impressive here is Rutgers has won the last 6 straight games in a row. Now, Rutgers' biggest win this season came on Tuesday, January 7th. That's when Rutgers topped off number 20 ranked Penn State and beat them by 11, 72-61. Not only did Rutgers beat ranked Penn State in this game, they did it without their starting point guard, leading assist man, and also number 2 scorer on the team, Geo Baker. No Geo Baker, no problem for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights back on Tuesday. Now, with a win by Rutgers on Tuesday, the Scarlet Knights are off to their best start through the first 15 games of the season since the 1975-76 season, in which Rutgers went all the way to the Final Four but lost in the Final Four of the NCAA Tournament. Now, if you guys were back on the channel around April last year, you might have remembered me recording a video about the longest NCAA tournament droughts going into this college basketball season. Those teams were for power conference teams. Rutgers, on my list, had the longest tournament drought out of all of them. It's been 29 years since the Scarlet Knights last went back to the NCAA Tournament. That was back in 1991. That was the last March Madness tournament appearance for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Rutgers this year, they have a golden opportunity to cash that one in. They have an opportunity for this. Not only 1, to make it to the March Madness tournament. Number 2, to finish with a winning record this year, a feat that hasn't been accomplished since the 2005-2006 season. That's when the Rutgers Scarlet Knights played in the Big East at the time and finished with 19 wins and 14 losses back in 05 and 06. It's been 13 straight seasons, by the way, of losing record seasons for Rutgers. So not only is the probability there for the NCAA tournament bid and a winning season likely this year for Rutgers, also their chance for a bid at an AP Top 25 ranking in that Top 25 poll. That is something that Rutgers hasn't accomplished since 1979. That was the last time that Rutgers has been ranked. And with their second win of the season on Tuesday against a ranked Top 25 opponent in Penn State, Rutgers has the chance this upcoming Monday, when the new Top 25 rankings are out, to be a part of the Top 25 rankings. That would be something historic there for the Rutgers men's basketball program. So I have 2 questions here. Number 1, first question on the list. Can Rutgers win on the road tomorrow? Tomorrow on Saturday. I'm going to publish this video tonight on Friday night. Saturday tomorrow at noontime, they take on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Now, Rutgers has been struggling on the road this year. They have a record of 1-2 this season on the road. They take on Illinois on Saturday. Illinois sitting right behind Rutgers in the conference, 11-5, 3-2 in the Big Ten so far. My second question, number 2. Can Rutgers pull out the W against Illinois on the road? If they do so, can Rutgers be able to crack the top 25 for the first time ever in 41 years if they're able to pull off the W on Saturday against Illinois? So those are the two main questions here. Only time will tell about those two main questions. We're going to move on to the head coach. Head coach Steve Pikiell has been awesome this year for Rutgers. He's done a tremendous job as he took over head coach for Rutgers back in 2016. That was one season after Rutgers finished with a dismal 7-25 record with former head coach Eddie Jordan. Now, Steve Pikiell is already known to turn around programs. He did so when he was the head coach of the Stony Brook Seawolves. They had a disastrous record his first season back in 05 and 06 with Pikiell. That's when Stony Brook finished with a record of 4-24 overall. Well then, Pikiell, during his last five seasons with Stony Brook, he rallied off 5 straight 20-plus win seasons with the Seawolves from 2011 to 2016. In the 2015-16 season, that's when Stony Brook had their best record with Steve Pikiell with a record of 26-7 in an NCAA tournament bid. Steve Pikiell this year, kudos to him. He is turning around this Rutgers program. Now, I'm going to run down 7 of their 12 notable wins this season for Rutgers here and what they've accomplished this season. Just take a look at it. Number 1 on the list, Rutgers destroyed Niagara in their second game of the season. Easy win, 86-39. Rutgers had their largest win against Niagara against a Division I team since 1978. Number 2, an impressive win for Rutgers against Stephen F. Austin, 69-57. Stephen F. Austin, by the way, was the team that came into Cameron Indoor Stadium 28-point underdogs and beat the Duke Blue Devils on a game-winning layup. Number 3, a big impressive win for Rutgers was a win against Wisconsin, 72-65 the final. They also out-rebounded Wisconsin, plus 14 on the boards that game, 40-26. Number 4 on the list is the win against number 22 ranked Seton Hall at the time. I know that Seton Hall did not have their star player Miles Powell. He was injured, but still, Rutgers was able to manage to beat Seton Hall by 20 points. Number 5 on the list is Rutgers getting out to a 17-0 lead against Lafayette. That was impressive right there. Lafayette at the time was number 1 in the Patriot League with a 7-2 record heading into this matchup. Rutgers won easily against Lafayette, 63-44. Number 6 in this list is Rutgers crushing Nebraska, 79-62, and out-rebounding Nebraska, 48-31 on the boards. Also, Rutgers shot the ball in an impressive 54% from the floor, held Nebraska to only 32% shooting. And the best win came on Tuesday, number 7, their second-ranked win of the year against number 20 ranked Penn State, 72-61, without their starting point guard and assist leader, Geo Baker. So, Rutgers doing so well so far this season, and I'm going to go over 2 more keys to why Rutgers has been well this year. Their defense here. Defense has been huge. They rank defensively number 16 at the moment in college basketball in total defense, allowing opponents to only 59.7 points per game this season. Number 2 here is the rebounds. Rutgers currently ranking number 17 in college basketball, averaging just above 41 rebounds per game defensively. They have done a great job so far this season. Now we're going to take a look at the things working in Rutgers' favor this year to build up their resume towards their first NCAA tournament appearance since 1991. Number 1, I double-star this one, is the win over Stephen F. Austin for Rutgers. This is working in Rutgers' favor because guess what? Stephen F. Austin managed to beat Duke out one of the toughest, if not the toughest, arena in all college basketball in Cameron Indoor. Something that hasn't been accomplished by a non-conference team since 2000, and Stephen F. Austin, the Lumberjacks, did it. And by the way, their record looking impressive as well. Stephen F. Austin, they are a mid-major team, but they are certainly helping out Rutgers by winning. Stephen F. Austin right now with a record of 13-3, ranked number 1 right now in the Southland Conference. Number 2, this in favor of Rutgers would have to be the loss at Pittsburgh. This is in favor of Rutgers because Pittsburgh has been shockingly good this year too. They have a record of 11-4. So Pittsburgh, with their win against Florida State in their season opener, which Florida State right now is ranked number 10 in the nation, that is helping build Rutgers in their favor. That's not seen to be a terrible loss there for Rutgers. This one is kind of half and half. This is a bad loss by Rutgers at number 3 on the list. Their loss against St. Bonaventure. This is kind of half and half because St. Bonaventure lately has been doing much better. They are 2-0 right now to start out Atlantic 10 play, and St. Bonaventure with a record of 10-5. So not a bad record at all for the Bonnies, but that is the worst loss that Rutgers has faced so far this season. Number 4 would be the loss against Michigan State. Easily, by far the best team in the Big Ten Conference is Michigan State, and with Michigan State winning and winning and winning, that is certainly helping Rutgers out, as Michigan State is now up to number 8 on the rankings for this week, and they are currently number 1 by a long shot in the Big Ten Conference, in my opinion. Number 5 on the list, working in Rutgers' favor, is the win against Wisconsin. Wisconsin, with wins over Ohio State, they won by 16 points against Marcus Howard and Marquette. They also crushed Tennessee and Knoxville by 20 points. Now, Wisconsin started out the season very weak, struggling this year, but now they sit with a record of 9-6 that they've been able to tally off 4 out of their last 5 straight games with victories. Also working in Rutgers' favor is the win against Seton Hall, the 20-point win against the Pirates. Seton Hall currently sits at undefeated, 3-0 in the Big East Conference, 11-4 overall here at the moment. That was, though, they did not have their leading scorer on the team, Miles Powell, but still 20 points, an impressive victory against number 22 ranked Seton Hall at the time. In the last one, number 7 on this list, helping in the favor of the Scarlet Knights, would be the win on Tuesday against number 20 ranked Penn State. Penn State was heading into that matchup with wins against Maryland, Georgetown, Syracuse, and Iowa at the time. So those are the factors right there, building Rutgers' resume with quality wins that can help them down the road definitely in March. Now, I have 2 more questions to go over. Question number 1. Can Rutgers sustain this success that they are having by winning games and avoiding bad losses? And question number 2, can Rutgers win the big games to improve their resume to be back in the big dance for the first time in 29 years? These questions will not be answered tonight, but they will be answered throughout the course of this season. Now, I'm going to go over the schedule of Rutgers here for you guys in a moment. We'll go over the month of January first, and then we'll move into February in a little bit. We'll take a look at January. Taking a look at the schedule in January, it looks really soft. 0 ranked teams at the moment for this month. I'll take a look at all the games for you guys. Coming up tomorrow on Saturday, January 11th, big game at Illinois. Resume builder here. If Rutgers is able to win this game, it would build up their resume indeed for sure. A road game in which Rutgers is only 1-2 on the road at the moment. Moving on, Wednesday, January 15th, big matchup at home against Indiana. Resume builder, the Hoosiers with a record of 12-3. These 2 teams heading into this matchup fairly even. Moving on, Sunday, January 19th. Home game against Minnesota. You gotta win this game if you're Rutgers. Home against Minnesota, who's struggling right now, 8-7, 0-5 on the road for the Golden Gophers. That is a must-win game there for Rutgers next Sunday. Moving on to Wednesday, January 22nd, a game at Iowa. Iowa dropped out of the AP top 25 rankings. They've gotten 2 straight conference losses after being ranked. That's a big game as well. Every single one of these games matters this year for Rutgers. Saturday, January 25th, versus Nebraska. You have to win this game if you're Rutgers. Nebraska right now at the bottom of the Big Ten Conference, 7-8 overall. Tuesday, January 28th. Against Purdue at home. Purdue is more rebuilding this year with a 9-7 record. That should also be a good matchup to see where Rutgers stands. So, not really like big impact teams, top 25 teams there in the first part of the schedule this month for January. Now this is where the meat gets basically into it. The meat of the schedule here, where we're going to see if Rutgers is a real legitimate contender here to be a part of the March Madness tournament, if they are a real team to be a team in the March Madness tournament, or if they're going to crack under pressure and be a bubble team or fall into the NIT tournament. We'll see during the month of February into March. Rutgers at the moment has 6 games here versus AP top 25 ranked opponents from the month of February into March at the moment. We'll go through what this schedule looks like. Saturday, February 1st, Rutgers takes on number 19 Michigan as they host them at home. Moving on to Tuesday, February 4th, Rutgers is at Maryland for a big one, their toughest opponent most likely to date during that matchup right there against Maryland that they'll take on for the remaining part of their schedule. Sunday, February 9th, easy game, cupcake game. After they've taken on Michigan and Maryland, they get an easy matchup against the worst team in the Big Ten, against Northwestern. You have to win this game if you're Rutgers. If you lose to Northwestern, that will not be a good one to build your resume. That will put you right on the bubble for sure. Northwestern right now sits with a losing record 5-9 overall, 0-4 in Big Ten play. Moving on, Wednesday, February 12th, Rutgers is at number 11 Ohio State right now. Ohio State will drop in the rankings, though. They've lost 3 in a row, although they are good at Columbus. Ohio State 9-1 at Columbus so far this season. Moving on, Saturday, February 15th, big game at home against Illinois for Rutgers. And then Wednesday, February 19th, once again, against Michigan, who could be ranked as well. They're right now at number 19. Sunday, February 23rd, Rutgers is at Wisconsin. Big game there in Madison. Wednesday, February 26th, Rutgers is at ranked Penn State. If they are ranked right now, number 20 at the moment, most likely will fall out of the top 25 for the next week or so. And then moving on, Tuesday, March 3rd, as they start off the month of March, big game at home for Rutgers as they take on the Maryland Terrapins. And then the last game to close it out, got to finish strong, Saturday, March 7th, Rutgers travels to Purdue to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. So that's the schedule there. Basically, we will find out more about Rutgers throughout the course of this year in Big Ten Conference play, but we'll see. We'll take a look at that and see if they are legit, if they can win some of those games on the schedule during the month of February. Now, Rutgers doesn't get to play Michigan State, which is the number 1 team at the moment in the conference. They already met up with Michigan State and lost to them earlier back in December. Now, for my take on this about Rutgers, if they can go at least 10-10 in conference play, if they can go 500 in conference play, and build up their resume with good wins, such as like a win there against Maryland, maybe one against Michigan, throw in one against Penn State, maybe one against Ohio State as well, then Rutgers should be for sure able to get into the tournament. Now, if they suffer bad losses, like a loss against Northwestern, or a loss against Minnesota or Nebraska, that will hurt their chances and drop them into the bubble and make it slimmer and slimmer for them to be part of this year's big dance. Now, for Rutgers, what you have to do if you're the Rutgers basketball team for this year, you cannot be like last year's versions of Nebraska and Indiana. These were 2 teams in the Big Ten who entered in last January ranked at number 24 and number 22 in the AP Top 25 rankings. Nebraska then got to Big Ten play, and they couldn't compete at all against the tougher teams when they took on their conference opponents. They finished up with a 19-17 record. We're nowhere even close to considered to be a March Madness tournament bid there for Nebraska last year. They went from being ranked to the top 25 to being the bubble to being out completely in the March Madness tournament. Now, Indiana last year, total collapse with them. They started out the year with a 12-2 record, and then they lost 7 straight games in a row to start off the 2019 season last year. And they went from all the way being ranked at number 22 in the top 25 to then dropping all the way down to the bubble and then losing out on being a part of the March Madness tournament as well. So here's my question. We won't have it answered until these games start being played, once this season starts going and getting rolling for conference play. Now, here's the big question. Can Rutgers keep this up? They'll answer it for us throughout the course of this season, but that's what we'll keep on monitoring throughout the rest of this year. And if they do, then if they keep it up, they'll be straight in the March Madness tournament for the first time in a long time since 1991. Thanks so much, guys, for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to my channel here in Behind the Arc Basketball on YouTube. Thank you guys so much, as this is Behind the Arc Basketball on YouTube.